It's really good. It's really clean image. Yep. And you look lovely.
4:30 in the morning. Thank you.
Paws looking good. Lips looking full. You look very good. It's easy to go off someone. Oh, Tom's busy. He's doing something. Good. Right. Although I do pitch the other class as a slightly less advanced class, they are getting some good stuff done. So do be sure, people, to watch the other class as well, because yeah, so today was a thing about sorting out mess where there was confusion. So things like au lieu de versus plutôt, suite à versus suivant versus ensuite, you know, je suis habitué à versus j'ai l'habitude versus je me suis habitué, you know, place versus endroit versus lieu. There's lots of like little clean-up things that we did today, which was the theme. So good. So we spoke about before and after last week, didn't we? And we primarily did it with verbs that were going to be in the infinitive, which is predominantly then when it's the same person. So a couple of points I wanted to make just as a follow-on from last week. If you're hearing before eating, Claire washes her hands, hearing before eating makes you think automatically, right, well, it's the same person because I'm not hearing a name. So your brain goes, well, obviously then it's going to be, you know, avant de manger, whatever. But be very mindful. A lot of the time in English, we don't say this. A lot of the time in English, we'll say things like, before Claire eats, she will wash her hands. You know, or generally, before Claire eats, she'll wash her hands, you know. So be careful that that will still be before eating. You know, so it'll still go to that method. So don't just think that that translation that we talked about last week is only if you hear in the French, in the English, you know, after getting home to Australia, Carol said she'd had a really lovely holiday with Luke. It's not just that. Even if it were after Carol got home to Australia, she said, as long as it's the same person, it will still fall into that category. So I'm going to kind of make that really clear. Right then. So today, same business. We're going into if it's different people. So let's start with who started last week? I think I started with Tom last week, did I? So let's start with Nathan. So Nathan, what is the word that I want to be floating around if I'm talking about before, after, and it's a different person? So before Luke arrived, everybody was enjoying themselves. After Luke arrived, everybody started to panic. So what is the word that we want to be adding to avant and après in this situation, Nathan?
If it's a different person, que.
Good, right. Any que word in French, you need to remember three things. Firstly, it will never be stressed. You never stress que. It's never a word that we stress. Secondly, you want to practice keeping your k quite small. Yeah, which is just generally good practice anyway. And thirdly, it may well join. Yeah, okay. So a big thing is avant que and après que pretty much normally then, apart from when we maybe get to avant que in the future, which we'll talk about in a second, is pretty much going to give me a normal sentence structure. In other words, if I hear after Carol arrived, so normally, Nathan, how would I say Carol arrived normally? Just normally, how would I say Carol arrived as an action?
Carole est arrivée.
Lovely. Some people say Carol est arrivée with a link. That's fine. All right. I personally would say Carol est arrivée. It's weirder for me not to do the liaison, but Carol est arrivée is fine. So the avant que is subjunctive. Yeah, we're saying that. And that could either be whether it's avant que plus a present or avant que plus a past. So before Carol arrives, avant que Carol arrive, you're not going to hear any difference. I'll talk about the ne in just a moment. Before Carol arrived, so if it's before we arrived, so if it's before we arrive, assume for all these examples it's different people. How, Nathan, would you say before we arrive using nous?
Oh, me?
Yep, yeah, yes, it's on you until I tell you otherwise. So how would I say before we arrive, assuming it's a different person, how am I going to say before we arrive?
Avant que nous soient arrivés.
Listen to Antiluki. Before has a present and a past option for you to be considering in the subjunctive. Soit wouldn't be used anyway if it was nous, would it? It'd be nous soyons arrivés, yeah? And you wouldn't stress the auxiliary. So let's use the nous, avant que nous arrivions, yeah? Present tense subjunctive. Be mindful your muscle memories want to do the two things. So say for me, every week before we arrive, Carol opens the wine. So every week before we arrive, Carol opens the wine.
Chaque semaine, avant que nous arrivions
with subjunctive. Oh, wait. Let me give you a very stupid trick. Avant subjunctive. Yeah, avant subjunctive. Après que does not take the subjunctive. Half of France seems to think it does, but it doesn't take the subjunctive, right? So avant que nous arrivions, say it me normally before we arrive.
Avant que nous arrivions.
Let me hear it again.
Avant que nous arrivions.
Lovely. Carol opens the wine.
Carole ouvre le vin.
Le vin. Now, can I remind you, we stay on the previous word until we are ready to move on to the next word. I don't mind if, in terms of the speed you're ticking off these solutions, I have no problems if you go, oui, alors avant que nous arrivions, Carole ouvre le vin. I've got no problem, but we've got to get into this joined up thing. I'm going to just send you all a quick class that I did earlier with Isaac, which is really about the genuine blur of listening, and I think it will just give you a little wake up into how you've got to really blur your speaking to get ready for this listening. So if I just send it to that, right? So there's a class gone in that. So could you say for me again one more time? Oui, alors avant que nous arrivions, Carole ouvre le vin. Before we arrive, Carole opens the wine.
Avant que nous arrivions, Carole ouvre le vin.
Nice, le vin. We're not getting vin. We're neither Canadian nor in the South. Good. We do have avant que nous n'arrivions in nice grammar. Yeah, the ne expletive. We do have a ne, but don't worry about it too much. Okay, it'll probably be gone by the time we're gone. So lovely. Now, the same when we had avant de and après avoir, they kind of work for all people and all tenses. So say, for example, you said, after arriving, Carol opened the wine. Same person. Après être arrivé, Carol a ouvert le vin. After arriving every week, Carol opens the wine. Après être arrivé chaque semaine, Carol ouvre le vin. Next week, after arriving, après être arrivé, Carol va ouvrir le vin. Ouvrira le vin. You can use this construction wherever your other person goes, wherever your tense goes. Avant que, yes, and après que. Okay, so the avant que would do the subjunctive, that would cover you for the future. But après que, we actually have a little situation. Let me see if I can find you some lingui examples to stick into the group. Après que, so Nathan, say for me, when I speak with Luke, it's in French. When I speak with Luke, it's in French. If you could just write that for me. When I speak with Luke, it's in French.
Quand je parle avec Luc, c'est en français.
Lovely. Can I ask you to start joining up two clauses with the same thing? Off you go. So when I off you go.
Quand je parle avec Luc, c'est en français.
Good. That's just training your ear. Next week, when I speak with Luke, he will be happy. Whatever. So next week, when I speak with Luke, he will be happy.
La semaine prochaine, quand je parle avec Luc,
Quand je parlerai avec Luc. So one of the sneaky roles of the word when, okay, is like other words in French. If you talk about the future, guess which cryptic tense we're going to use? Brace yourself. This is shocking. The future. Okay. So, for example, if it's when Carol opens the wine, everybody's happy, meaning generally, you know, quand Carole ouvre le vin, tout le monde est content. Next week, when Carol opens the wine, everybody will be happy. What? When no, catch the English. When Carol opens. Yeah, now let me just see if I can find that link, or at least tell you what to look it up as. I think it's searchable off the word quand, but I'll have a little look. And it goes through some words which, when you go into the future, you have to use the future. And I have seen the video on there. Do you know what? I'm in bed for this video. I'm literally in bed. It was during COVID. It was the shittest, greyest day. And I'm normally a get up in the morning person, but I just could not be asked. I had so much gardening to do, and it was just the rainiest day. And I thought, I'm just going to do a video in bed. I really did. But if you go through, let me see if I can find it. Yes. So if you guys go to Logic Language Learning, if you go to YouTube, if you type Logic Language Learning space and the word future, yeah, that will come up. I'm going to send it you guys in the group, but anybody else watching, okay? And this talks about words that basically need the future, okay? So where are we? Yeah, so après que, aussitôt que, dès que, lorsque, quand, une fois que, pendant que. Yeah, for example, all right? So be mindful of that. So just do me one more, Nathan. So say for me, when Luke arrives, he will be happy. When Luke arrives, he will be happy, talking about the future.
Quand Luc arrivera, il serait content.
He will be. He will be. Not he would be.
Il sera content.
That's it. So that's something to be mindful of. All right. Now, good. So après que is, again, pretty much a safe bet for most people that you're going to be working with. Okay. You know, it really is. So, for example, if you're going in the past, so let's come to Carol. So, Carol, if I said, no, let's come to Claire. I'm going to follow my anti-alphabetical. What do I mean? Anti-clockwise. So, Claire, normally, how would you just say for me, I arrived? Plain and simple, Claire, how would you say I arrived?
J'arrive.
I arrived.
No.
Past tense, my darling. I arrived.
Je suis arrivé.
Lovely, nice join. So the minute you've got a different person, you can just use après que, as long as it's a different person. So say for me, after I arrived, Tom was happy. How would you say after I arrived, Tom was happy?
Après avoir arrivé.
But listen, if it's after I arrived, Tom was happy. Okay, same person or different person?
Different person. That's
my point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if you said after you know, after I arrived, so it's just going to be après que. Normal. I arrived. So how do you say after I arrived?
Après que je suis arrivé.
Good. Okay. So lovely. There's no subjunctive. Every week after I arrive, let's do a verb where you can hear the subjunctive. Every week after I do my homework, my friend Sam calls me. Let's pretend I'm 15 again. So even though I met Sam at 18 rather. So say for me, Claire, every week.
Chaque semaine.
After I do my homework, it's normal. It's a different person. So what's after I do my homework?
Après avoir
Claire.
No.
Same or different person? After I do my homework, Sam calls me.
Different person. Après.
That's it. Let's have a little think as well about this que. There are so many words where in French we've got a different person. We will bring in a que. Que is the antithesis of an infinitive. Je suis content de vous connaître. Je suis content que vous soyez ici. You know, so if I'm happy that I know you, je suis content de plus infinitive. I'm happy you're here. Je suis content que vous soyez ici. Que and the infinitive tend to be placed opposite each other. There are so many words where I had gluten 3 days ago. I'm a bit of a, I can't speak clearly. Alors j'ai eu un peu de gluten il y a 3 jours. J'ai du mal à parler comme il faut. So if you say, for example, I did it without knowing, same person. Moi, je l'ai fait sans savoir or sans avoir su. I did it without Claire knowing. It was a surprise party for her. Oui, alors je l'ai fait sans que Claire sache. I mean, we could say à son insu or à l'insu de Claire, to the unknowing of Claire. Other words, dès votre arrivée, at the same time and ongoing from your arrival. As soon as you arrive, dès que vous. Yeah. Perhaps you all think it's peut-être. It's peut-être que. Perhaps he's coming. Peut-être qu'il, you know. Because if you said perhaps he's coming with the peut-être, you'd either need il va peut-être venir or il vient peut-être. Perhaps going into a clause, peut-être que. Yeah, there's loads and loads and loads of words that need a que if you're then going to go into a person doing something. Okay, so this après and this avant is a really useful thing. So in other words, Claire, go again. So after Luke arrived, Tom was happy. Different people. After Luke arrived, don't even think about it. Après, don't even think about it. Après que Luke arrived, Tom was happy. Let me hear it.
Après que Luc est arrivé, Tom était très content. Oh,
Gorgeous.
Tom soit content.
Gorgeous. No.
Oh, no.
This is an interesting thing, and well done you. The brain feels it needs a soit because it's heard a que somewhere in there. Yeah. If all it took to make a subjunctive was a que, we wouldn't be bothering with want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal. None of that would matter. Okay. I think that Claire is very intelligent. Alors moi, je pense que Claire est très intelligente. That's not subjunctive. I think Claire is lovely. Alors je pense que Claire est. You might notice I start all videos. J'espère que vous allez bien. That's after a que. It's not subjunctive. Yeah. I mean, there are other languages which are a lot more subjunctive heavy. I mean, Italian, every time you say think, it goes into the conjunctive, but we're fine. We are fine. You know, not all verbs, but you know, there are plenty of verbs like je pense que, it won't be subjunctive. Okay. Good. Lovely. If we were to go après que, so après que, Claire, off the top of your head, was après que the one that uses subjunctive or the one that doesn't?
The one that doesn't.
That's right. And what's our little trick? Avant que subjunctive. Okay. If your clause in the, so say you're in the past, after Luke arrived, après que Luc est arrivé, Tom did something. Present tense, every time after Luke arrives, Tom always gives him a hug. À chaque fois, après que Luc arrive, alors Tom lui donne un câlin. Tom, for those of you that don't know, Carol and Claire know, is a boy I knew from when he was a little baby, the Children's Hospital, who's now like a 15-year-old lad, and Carol and Claire know him. But if I was saying next week, after Luke arrives, notice again, guys, it will sound in the present tense in the English. We actually use the futur intérieur for that. After Luke will have arrived. So in other words, some people go, oh, après que's the easy one. It just works normally. It just works normally. Yes, fine, but think of it like the when. If you go into the future then, so you'll often, with when as well, you'll often get this future past. When Luke, next week, when Luke arrives, it could also still be when Luke will have arrived. So go and have a good old lingui and reverso on après que and just come up with some examples, all right? Good, Claire. So Claire, I'm going to now give you a quick combo, okay? So if it's avant que, I'm going to want to hear the subjunctive. If it's avant que and a past, I'm going to want to hear the subjunctive on the auxiliary, aren't I? In other words, we're talking soit or a. If it's the normal one, it's just going to be the subjunctive in the present. So Claire, before you do the work, I have to tell you something. Before you do the work, I have to tell you something.
Avant que
Good.
tu tu fasses le travail.
Spot on, madam. Spot on. She's chosen avant que because it's before and the different person. She's gone with tu fasses because it's the irregular subjunctive of faire. Well done. I need to tell you something.
J'ai besoin. Oh, you don't like this one.
It's not that I don't like it. It's that now, well, good memory, good memory. Now, well done, Claire. Very well done. Now I've gotten you into phrasal verbs. Yeah, now I've gotten you into phrasal verbs. You can now remember that je dois is better for verbal needing at this stage because j'ai besoin is just a bit need. So save me, I need to tell you something. Je dois.
Je dois vous dire. Ah, non, te dire.
Yeah, but you don't have to vous voir me. Je dois te dire quelque chose.
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 Good. Lovely. Next one for me, Claire. Before you did the work, I told you something as an action. Do you remember? Before you did the work, I told you something. Before you did the work, I told you something.
Avant que tu as fait le
Pause.
travail.
What does avant que take the subjunctive?
Yes.
So, and if it's you did, which word is going to get the subjunctive?
Avoir.
Spot on, Claire Bear. Well done indeed. And what is the subjunctive of have?
A? Oh, ah.
That is it. A, that's it. All the
A.
way down,
A.
think of Captain America. A on A. Yep, if you're in the je, it will sound the same. AIE, AIES, AIT, AYONS, AYZ, AINT. All right. So avant que tu aies fait, that's all it'll be. For those that want to use the ne expletif at this stage, avant que tu n'aies fait le travail, okay? Normal. I told you something. What's I as an action? I told you something.
Je veux dire.
I told as an action. I told is what? Je... So if it was an action, if it were an action, what would be I told? What would that be as a sentence? I told in 3 words.
No,
You there, Claire? We lost you to tuberculosis. What's I told?
J'ai dit.
And again?
J'ai dit. No.
I've got your address. I told. Je
te dis. No. Oh God.
Say me, I said.
Say me,
I said. Don't overthink it. Say I said.
Je dis.
What's the middle word? Let me hear the vowel.
Je dis.
No, I said
told.
past tense. I said past tense.
J'ai dit.
Thank you. Now pop the t in there.
Je te dis.
We've lost the A sound, haven't we?
Je t'ai dit. Je t'ai dit.
Thank you.
Je t'ai dit.
Remember, I know which suburb you live in. Okay. Je t'ai dit. Alors, avant que what did you say? Before you did the work, avant que tu aies fait le travail, je t'ai dit quelque chose. Lovely. Tom, before you left, I wanted to speak to you using s'en aller, which was one of the phrasal verbs we talked about last week. What is gorgeous about the verbs that you all think is vile is you're actually safer and better in a past subjunctive because all you're ever going to have is a and soit. And if your verb is reflexive, you're only ever going to have a combination of. So, Tom, could you just warm me up and could you just say, je me suis all the way down, please, with the poetry part. Je me suis, tu t'es, just let me hear that all the way down to il.
Je me suis, tu t'es.
Good. It sounds lovely, but it's a bit distant. Could you come a bit closer to the microphone? I'm so sorry.
Je me suis.
Yeah, all the way down.
Je me suis, tu t'es. Il s'est, nous nous sommes, vous êtes, ils se sont.
Ils se sont, nice try and good. Could you now go again and could you pop an on in all of that? As you were all told to practice. Go.
Je m'en suis tout en
Let me give you a trick. Let me give you a trick. When you've got je me suis, tu t'es, the bastard is that sometimes it will join and sometimes it won't. So je me suis lavé, je me suis lavé, tu t'es lavé, you got washed, it joins. What is joining and why is not joining? Because of the vowel. If you're plugging, Claire loves this tense. She told me when she was in France, she goes, Luke, sometimes I just love to be plugged. And I said, Claire, I more than understand. Take a non, my darling. Take a non. And so basically, je m'en, tu t'en, ils sont, nous nous en, vous vous en, ils sont. Just do that first, and then we'll add the verb to be. So say to me, je m'en, tu t'en, ils sont, nous nous en, vous vous en, ils sont. Off you go.
Je monte, tu ton, son, nous nous en.
Nous nous en.
Nous nous en, vous vous en, ils sont.
Ils sont. Yes.
Ils sont.
Thank you. Get good. Now plug with e. Je m'y, tu t'y, all the way down. Notice how you can plug the m with the e. Je m'y, tu t'y, plug all the way down.
J'ai mis, tu t'y, aussi, nous.
Keep your eyes on me. Keep your eyes on me. Nous nous y.
Nous nous y, vous vous y, ici.
Good. Now notice all you've got to do after any of those combinations with the on in there is just come straight in with the verb, which is the verb to be. Je m'en suis, tu t'en es, il s'en est, nous nous en sommes, vous vous en êtes, ils s'en sont. And notice now that your verb to be stays separate. Have a little go.
Je m'en suis, tu t'en, ils seront.
Tu t'en what? I need the verb to be. I need the verb to be on the end. I need the verb to be on the end.
Sorry. Tu t'en es, ils se.
Look at me. So we're getting as far as on, and then we've got the verb to be out on the right by itself. Now, when we practice this, which we will, won't we? We don't stress the auxiliary. Moi, je m'en suis. Je m'en suis allé. Tu t'en es allé. Il s'en est allé. We wouldn't stress the suis, but for the moment, je m'en suis, tu t'en es, il s'en est. I don't mind you using a bit of finger and going out to the right. Up you go, all the way down.
Je m'en suis, tu t'en es, il s'en est, nous nous en sommes.
Good.
Vous vous en êtes.
You've got it.
Ils sont.
That's it. Ils sont. Go again. This time, make the last word the subjunctive of the verb to be. Still with an on in there. So let's be frank. We could have just done the normal reflexive subjunctive. Je me sois, tu te sois, il se soit. Nous nous soyons, vous vous soyez, il se soit. Notice that is easier because we're not jumping between E's and S's, are we? There's no jumping between E's and S's. So just say for me, Tom, je m'en sois, tu t'en sois, il s'en soit. Do it for me with the je m'en, but this time to the right, it's going to be the subjunctive. Off you go.
Je m'en sois, tu t'en sois, il s'en soit, nous nous en soyez.
Nous nous en what?
Soyons.
Thank you. Go back again.
Oh, ouais. OK. Je m'en sois, tu t'en sois, il s'en soit, nous nous en soyons, vous vous en
soyez.
On soit.
Good. We could have done je m'en étais. I'm sliding around on a chair, which is making rather vile noises. I assure you, isn't it? So je m'en. It was from Selfridge. You should expect better. Je m'en étais, tu t'en étais, il s'en était, nous nous en étions, vous vous en étiez, il s'en était. We could have done different tenses. Je m'en serais, tu t'en serais. It's really only the present tense which is going to be the problem one. Any that had in the middle, there was in the middle, je m'en étais, tu t'en étais, il s'en était, or even je m'étais, tu t'étais, il s'était, nous nous étions. They're all easier. So now that we just worked our mouth up with that, could you do one more thing for me, Tom? Could you go, instead of saying je m'en, could you just say je m'y? Could you plug me with E, please? Je m'y, tu t'y, all the way down with the letter Y. Off you go. Just plug me. No verb, no auxiliary, just could you plug me? Je m'y, tu t'y, all the way down.
Je m'y, tu t'y, aussi, nous nous y, vous vous y, ils y.
Il s'y.
Il s'y.
Because the word you are referring to is S''Y, and when a word starts with an S, you hear an S. Yeah. Good. So say, for example, I then wanted to pop that into the reflexive passé composé with the pronoun instead of the preposition à. So je m'y suis. Could you now go all the way along? So do je m'y and now add the verb to be on the end, yeah? So what you've just done with the verb to be on the right.
Je m'y suis eh?
No. Listen, you've just done.
Sorry.
You've just done. Je m'y, tu t'y, il s'y, nous nous y, vous vous y, il s'y. You're now just going to put the normal verb to be on the right hand side. Je m'y suis.
Okay.
Yeah,
Je m'y suis, tu t'y es, il s'y est.
Look at me. I don't mind what speed you do it, but you keep the previous word going. You keep the previous word going in my class. Up you go. Je m'y suis. Up you go.
Je m'y suis, tu t'y es, il s'y est, nous nous sommes.
Nous what? Plug me.
Nous nous y sommes. Nous nous y sommes, vous vous y êtes, ils s'y sont.
Good. Now let's, for good measure, pop that in the subjunctive. Je m'y, tu t'y. Obviously, none of these are full sentences. You know, it would need to be something like, you know, I signed up to it. So the verb s'inscrire. So je m'y suis inscrit. So s'inscrire à. So we've got a reflexive verb which takes an à. So I signed up to it. Je m'y suis inscrit. Yeah. Carol is happy that I signed up to it. Luke, that'll do you some good. That's interesting. So what would be then? I signed up to it with the reflexive and the e pronoun in the passé composé. So I'm good, and the subjunctive. So Carol is happy that I signed up to it. So what's the verb to sign up? I've just given you.
S'inscrire.
Pause. Will you all say the word wine? All of you. Just say le vin.
Le vin.
Nice.
Le vin.
Whatever device you're on, Carol, you stick to it, my darling. It's perfect signal. Can you now, when you read in, unless it's got an e after it or an I after it, like cinéma, you know, or finir, can you all go to un? Yeah, you all read and come up with weird nasals. So s'inscrire, right? Okay. So in other words, then, give me again, then, Tom, what's the verb to sign up?
S'inscrire.
No, s'inscrire,
S'inscrire à.
which in my method is known as a what? What do we call a reflexive verb with the dick on the end? ABC verbs, yes?
Okay.
Yep. Are we all clear? Say no if anybody here doesn't know what I mean by an ABC verb. Don't be embarrassed.
No, I don't.
I don't know.
Then you've not watched the videos enough. Shame on you, shame on you. Disgust, your family will change your name. Years ago, you'd been made to join the priesthood. So basically, that's what they did with all the gays and rejects. So basically, I count myself amongst the gays and the rejects. So I'm the oldest son, though. I'd have inherited the farm. I'd have just kicked my brothers out. So basically, if you have got a reflexive verb which requires an a or a de. Now, this is quite a nice way to work this out, because if I said, for example, I'm looking after the situation, you know, je m'occupe. So that's reflexive. So straight away, Tom, in the sentence, je m'occupe, who's the verb going towards? It's je m'occupe.
It's going towards me.
Right, I'm moving. Good. Well done. I'm coming across to Roscoe to keep it moving. Good, well done, Tom. So if I'm saying je m'occupe, if I'm now saying I'm dealing with the situation, I've got a verb which is now coming towards me, and I need to find a way to send that verb to somebody else. So that requires a preposition. Je m'occupe de la situation. I'm interested in whatever the situation. Je m'intéresse. Oh dear, it's come to me. How am I going to send it to somebody else? Not all the time, but a lot of the time, I'm then going to need je m'intéresse à la situation or something to that effect. So predominantly, it's going to be à or de, but not exclusively. And there won't always be one. So, for example, je m'intéresse à la situation. So, s'intéresser à, s'occuper de. These verbs are known as A, B, C verbs in my technique. A being the reflexive element you need to deal with, B being the verb element you need to deal with, and C being the preposition, à or de. So, Roscoe, if I'm telling you s'inscrire à, Would you please say to me, I'm signing up to the, let's say, je m'inscris à, let's say, la salle de sport. La salle de sport. So could you please say to me, I'm signing up to the gym?
Je m'inscris à la salle de sport.
Good. Try closing your mouth a little bit more and speaking more through the chest. Just give me more han-hi-han. Je m'inscris à la salle de sport.
Je m'inscris à la salle de sport.
Good. Okay. Go into the past tense straight away. You know it's reflexive. You don't need to do anything clever just yet. Take it into the past tense reflexive. I signed up to the gym.
Je me suis inscrit à la salle de sport.
Lovely. Lukey personally would say je me suis inscrit. Not all French speakers would. All right. Great. Because my verb used because my verb used a, as we've talked about, that's now going to become an e for the pronoun. Not always, not if it's people, for example. We don't heavily use that with people. So, you know, I'm thinking of the situation. Je pense à la situation. I'm thinking about it. J'y pense. I'm thinking of, you know, Claire. Je pense à Claire. I'm thinking about her. Je pense à elle. I don't always use the e, but I do with non-humans a lot of the time. So basically, could you say to me, I'm thinking about it one more time? I'm signing up to it. I'm signing up to it.
Je m'inscris à.
I'm signing up to it. If I've got the it, I can't use the a, can I? What did I just tell you the word for it was if the verb originally used an a?
E.
But I don't get to use both. Off you go. You've turned your preposition a plus the object which comes after it into a pronoun e, and you know where the pronouns go. So say I signed up to it.
Sorry, in the past. Yeah.
Now, yes, I've changed. I've moved on.
Sorry. Je me suis inscrit.
Pause. Why is it subjunctive?
Oh, sorry, we've not done this. It's not.
Because we haven't got anything in the first bit. So je
No.
me go on. Yeah.
Yeah. Je me suis inscrit.
Good. Now, don't hate Lukey, all of you, but you should be doing tu t'inscris, tu t'inscrivais, tu t'inscriras, tu t'inscrirais. You know, you should be running through all of this stuff. Yeah. Then tu t'es inscrit, tu t'es inscrit à whatever, à la gymnase, à la salle de sport, pardon, au gymnase, à la salle de sport, tu t'es inscrit, tu te seras inscrit, tu te seras. You should be running through all of these in your mouth. You should then run through the top 6 and the bottom 6 again. Tu t'y inscris, tu t'y inscrivais, tu t'y inscriras. You should be running through that with the e. Really? So could you now say for me, Roscoe, I'm happy you signed up to it. In other words, we're using a pronoun and a reflexive. I'm happy you signed up to it.
Je suis content que tu t'y sois inscrit.
Good. Can you now go again and don't stress sois?
Je suis content que tu t'y sois inscrit.
Good. If I was speaking to the ladies, Carol and Claire, or anybody that identifies as female, then basically on this occasion, not all occasions, I would sound the inscrite because they have signed themselves up and they are female. Oh putain, Claire, je suis super content que tu t'y inscrite. Yeah. Not all reflexive verbs or reciprocal verbs have the e's and the s's on the end. I have spoken about why. I will do again with this group. All right. Good, Roscoe. So say for me, before you signed up to it, you were very sad. Before you signed up to it, you're very sad. This would be Carol if she lived anywhere for more than a day. She'd need to go and join some local fitness thing, and I applaud the girl. She'd be like, "Oh, Luke, I've just joined the Besançon running club." I'd be like, "Yay!" Off you go. So, Carol, I understand you, my girl. Before you signed up to it, you were sad.
Avant de.
Lovely, 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 lovely. But don't dwell on it. So before you signed up to it, you were very sad. Different person. So we write with the avant de. But what's coming next? Where's our mind coming next?
To an infinitive.
But why? What comes before the infinitive? Are there any pronouns in the sentence?
Yes.
So where do pronouns go?
Before the
Lukey. I mean, you hadn't made a mistake, but Lukey knew what was in your brain. I can hear brains. People just don't think I can. So off you go. Off you go. So before you signed up to it.
Avant de t'y avoir inscrit.
Pause now. You could do avant de t'y être inscrit. Yeah, but it's before signing up, avant de t'y inscrire. Do you see what I'm saying? You could do, there's different reasons when you will do both of those, and we'll talk about those with tenses in another point. Avant de t'y inscrire, before signing up to it, let's say before signing up to it, you will be sad, whatever. Avant de t'y inscrire, tu seras triste. So in other words, we've gone to the one that we did last week. Now let's go before you signed up to it. I was sad because I felt bad for you.
Avant que tu t'y inscris.
Stand still before you signed up to it. If I went avant que, what follows avant que, Roscoe?
Subjunctive.
And what's the subjunctive of écrire? I'm giving you that on purpose. What's the subjunctive of écrire?
Écrite.
Écrive. What you've just done in your mouth is not stupid. What you've just done in your mouth is not stupid. The brain knows there's a hard sound for the subjunctive. A lot of the same time, the brain goes, there's a hard sound on the they. There's also a hard sound on the past participle when it's feminine. So the brain goes, which one of the hards is it? You've got écrive, subjunctive, écrite, past participle with an E. All right, so, so say for me, you signed up to it. One more time. Normal one, tu t'y
inscris.
Good. Make that subjunctive before you signed up to it. Avant que tu t'y.
Avant que tu t'y sois inscrit.
Good. Now, let's be honest. We could just go avant ton inscription, before your inscription. We could completely get around that, but lovely, lovely, lovely. After you signed up to it. No need for anything clever.
Après que... are we doing the same person or different?
Assuming it's the different.
The different.
Yeah. Otherwise, we've done that last week. Après. Well, all right. Then what would be after you signed up to it if it were the same person?
If it was.
Based on last week's class.
Après...
Look at Auntie Lukey. Look at Auntie Lukey. If we're going avant de, we're flying most of the time. You can pop an auxiliary, but we're flying most of the time into a verb. What are we doing after après? We're flying into an auxiliary.
Mm-hmm.
With either method, what's going to come first?
The pronouns.
Right.
Yeah.
So say, for example, I said before getting washed. Listen to where the me goes. Avant de me laver. Après être lavé. Yeah. What pronouns are clever in are present in clever? What pronouns are together in tu t'y inscris present tense? What pronouns are there?
T.
So without being funny, top line, bottom line. Yeah. So tu t'y inscris, tu t'y inscrivais, tu t'y inscrirais, inscrirais, nanana. Whatever, avant que tu t'y inscrives, avant de t'y inscrire, tu t'y es inscrit, tu t'y étais inscrit, tu t'y seras inscrit, tu t'y serais inscrit. Il est intéressant que tu t'y sois inscrit après t'y être inscrit. Pronouns come first for all of them. The only thing that you wouldn't need a pronoun first for would be if you were dealing with a first verb, like tu vas t'y inscrire, for example. But any other organization of the verb would have the pronouns first. All right. So let's do a new verb, and then we can move on to Carol. In fact, moving on to Carol now, we're going to go around, keep going around. So Carol, could you say for me, let's use je m'en vais. Je m'en vais. I'm off. Just say that verb for me, Carol. Just say je m'en vais.
Je m'en vais.
Right. Is it reflexive?
No.
Je m'en vais. Is it reflexive? J-E space M apostrophe E-N space V-A-I-S. Is it reflexive?
Yes.
Good. It isn't a basic bit reflexive. And let's be frank, guys, even if the brain's like, I'm dealing with the situation, your brain doesn't think that's reflexive. But if you have a je and a me, it's reflexive. Now, if you want to be more finicky, we can get into, is it direct or indirect reflexive? Because when we first start my method, we go, is it direct, indirect, or reflexive, reciprocal? Is it le, lui, or ce. Once you get into knowing what reflexive is, it could be direct or indirect. I wash myself, directly reflexive. I buy myself an apple, indirectly reflexive. I'm buying the apple for myself. Don't worry about that. But by definition, if it's je me, is it reflexive, yes or no?
Yes.
Good man. So therefore, we know that we're going to have extra verbs pissing around the place. All right. We spoke last time about being careful in the mouth, that you could have mon and it not be reflexive. Like he did some stuff for me. You know, il m'en a acheté. He bought me some. There's a mon. Doesn't mean it's reflexive because it's not, je te me. But if it's je m'en vais, which two pronouns, Carol, my love, can you hear at the beginning of that expression?
Je.
I don't mean subject pronoun. I mean, ignore the subject pronoun of je. What other pronouns can you hear together?
On.
Je m'en vais. Which ones can you hear?
Me and on.
So say them as a unit. What are they? What are you hearing?
Mon.
Right. Is there a form of the top six and the bottom six where I'm not going to hear mon together? No.
Yeah.
No. No, it doesn't exist. There isn't a form of the top six or the bottom six where I'm going to hear mon apart. It doesn't exist. All right, you're going to run through it for me. Say for me, I'm leaving. Present tense. So really, just pissing around the verb to go. Say for me, right, I'm leaving. Off you go. You give me the one I've just given you. I'm leaving.
Je m'en vais.
Good. All you're doing, you're keeping your pronouns the same and you're playing with the verb to go. I was going. Let's be clear. You can't say j'allais. You need to say j'y allais or j'allais là or je partais. You can't say je vais. I'm going. You need to say je m'en vais. I'm off. So say for me, I was off. I was leaving. Pop it in the was tense. You've just said, Carol, my darling, je m'en vais, which is the only word you need to change now because you're on the top line.
Aller.
Great. So say for me, I was leaving. Go on.
Je me suis allé.
No. We're on the top line. Do we have an auxiliary on the top line?
No.
You're predicting my face like a cheap clairvoyant. Give me the name of my tenses. Present.
Present. Past.
No. No. I'll swing for you fuckers. Present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive.
Okay.
Let me hear it.
Yeah. Present, was, will, subjunctive.
Look at Lukey.
Additional.
So he can pop the black cap on and condemn you to death. No, I shall send you out to Australia with the other convicts. It's quite a nice little sentence, wasn't it? You can stay here in London with tuberculosis and fucking disease and shit, or we'll send you somewhere warm and tropical. Oh, I'll go and steal something else. I'll go sooner. Present, was, will, would. 3 bloody W's. Lesson 1, we did it. Was, will, would. Say to me, present, was, will, would.
Present, was, will, would.
Then the 2 ibs, subjunctive, infinitive. Let me hear it.
Subjunctive, infinitive.
And again by yourself. Present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive.
Present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive.
That's the verb order we practice. Then we do the same verb order on the auxiliary. So top line, no auxiliary. Bottom line, 6 auxiliaries. So say for me, I'm off. Present tense.
Je m'en vais.
You're only changing the last word now. And the point I'm trying to get across to you, bastard, is that the mon is not going anywhere. I was off. I was leaving. Change it to the was tense. Je m'en allais. Good. Let's change it quickly to he. No, we're with je me. Let's stay with je me. But it's going to sound the same with the will and the would. So what's I would? I will leave. Je m'en. What is the will form of go? Say à la rat, I will confiscate your granddaughter and I will lock her in a towel like Rapunzel.
Ira.
In the je form.
Irai.
Thank you. So pop it after what we know. Je m'en
Je m'en irai.
All in one go.
Je m'en irai.
But I'll be off. I'll be leaving. Okay. Give me I would be off, which is going to sound the pissing same because would sounds the same as the je. If it was tu t'en iras versus tu t'en irais. But if it's the je, it's going to be the same. So give me I would be off. Je m'en.
Je m'en irai.
Have we learned that je m'en isn't moving anywhere yet? Right.
Yes.
We're still on the top line. We haven't got anybody coming in the way of an auxiliary. Somebody different. Luke is happy that I'm leaving. That sounds terrible. Luke est content que je m'en. Subjunctive with the verb to go would be?
Would be a.
It would be what, my love?
I.
Thank
I.
you. Do you think I'm doing this for my own fucking health? Off you go. It's Luke is happy that I'm leaving.
Luke est content que je m'en aille.
Luke identifies as male. Luke est content que je m'en aille. All right? Good.
Luke est content.
Good. What comes after subjunctive? In my list.
Oh. Infinite.
Now, let's be
Infinitive.
very clear. All the others, that is the only way of saying them. This infinitive, well, no, let's be very clear. The only way of saying the subjunctive is je m'en aille. But what prepares you for the subjunctive could be pissing anything. We've just gone as the token, Luke is happy that, or it's interesting that, or do you know what I mean, Carol? We've just come up with a token practice sentence. Yeah. If we went to the infinitive, again, there's endless ways to get me to the infinitive. We go practice-wise with avant de, but it could be je vais, yada yada. Je suis content de, yada yada. So let's do a nice easy one to warm you up. Say for me, I'm going. So just say I'm going.
Je vais.
Now I get into my juicy verb. So what's the first thing I need in my verb? I need the pronouns, don't I? So je vais. Give me the two pronouns that we've been using all the way long. Je vais.
Je vais m'en.
And then the infinitive, because this one's called the infinitive. Je vais m'en.
Je vais m'en arriver.
But the verb to go, not the verb to arrive.
Oh.
Je
vais m'en aller.
We could have said je suis content de m'en aller. I'm happy to leave. We could say avant de m'en aller. Various things will get us into the infinitive. Various things will get us into the infinitive. But notice again, when you start your infinitive, be it after a de, be it after a, avant de, whatever, be it je suis content de, be it after a modal verb, je dois, je devrais, I should, I can, je peux. When we get to the infinitive part, what comes in first, Carol? The same pronouns, right? The mon. So in other words, do we ever so far separate m and on? Yes or no? So far, have we separated them? We can separate je and mon. Yeah, we can go like that. Je mon. I can't do it. Hang on. That's it. We can separate je mon. Okay. So we can have je. Let's do it with the tu. Tu t'en vas. Tu t'en allais. Tu t'en iras. Tu t'en irais. Il est intéressant que tu t'en ailles. Tu vas t'en aller. Tu devrais t'en aller avant de t'en aller. But the t'en will always go with the verb in question. Then we go to the bottom line. Let's stick with the tu version. So the pronouns that we're using now are ton. Are we agreed that it's T apostrophe N, Carol?
Yes.
Yeah? Good, lovely. I'm coming to Nathan so that it's... No, let's say, Carol, so you can say, I'll do more on Nathan next week, so that you can say you've done the whole thing. So basically, say for me the three words that we know come together in all versions apart from the infinitive. Give me those three words that come together.
Tu t'en.
Good, and that ain't going to change. Tu t'en, tu t'en, tu t'en, tu t'en, tu t'en, tu t'en, tu t'en. If we're in the bottom line, on the bottom line, Carol, do we have an auxiliary?
The bottom line? No. Is it?
I have a photograph of your granddaughter. Do we have a fucking auxiliary on the bottom fucking line?
Yes.
Of course we fucking do. What is the name of my voice? What is the name of my verb method? Present, was, will, would. Strike any fuckers that don't remember it in the face. Infinitive, subjunctive, infinitive. Present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive on the auxiliary. Are we all clear, people? The bottom six have an auxiliary. Don't be basic bitches. Look at mange. Il mange, il mangeait, il mangera, il mangerait, il est intéressant qu'il mange avant de manger. Il a mangé, il avait mangé, il aura mangé, il aurait mangé. Are we clear that it's auxiliary on the bottom 6? Your French tenses, as you need them, are 6 with no auxiliary and 6 without an auxiliary. And it's completely symmetrical. If you were to then carry on into the literary tenses, there'd be 2 with and 2 without. Yeah, so it'd be like 8 and 8, all right? So, bottom line, do we have an auxiliary?
Yes.
Good answer, Carol. So, if we're in the reflexive, what is our auxiliary, have or be?
Be.
So, all you're doing is following my present, was, will, would, subjunctive shit order on the verb to be. Give me the pronouns that I need to. Give me the ones I need to.
Tu t'en.
Good. Now I need the verb to be in the present tense because we're going in the same order. Notice the name of the tenses on the bottom is not present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive. Strictly speaking, it is passé composé, yeah, plus que parfait, had, futur intérieur, conditionnel passé, subjunctive passé, and well, there's not really a format for what you call the auxiliary past, but with it on the infinitive on the auxiliary. But that's what we're doing. We don't go right. We don't go present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive, simple past, pluperfect, future past, conditional past. We don't do that. We just go present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive, and then the same bastards on the middle. So tu t'en. I need the verb to be in the present tense, and then aller on the end. So say for me, you left. Tu t'en.
Tu t'en es allé.
Good. Tu t'en es allé. If you did the link, it'd be es. Yeah. Okay. Good. Change that middle verb to the was tense. Give me that you had left. Notice that the tu t'en is not leaving. Off you go. Middle verb was now. Middle verb was. Tu t'en.
Tu t'en.
Middle verb was.
Serait.
Stand still. What is the bloody verb to be in the present tense? A. What is the verb to be in the was tense? Look at me. Say for me, you were. As in you were alive and then I killed you. What is you were?
In the present.
In the was tense, you were.
Je serai.
You know you said that shit 5 seconds ago. Say for me, I was.
J'étais.
Say for me, you were, and pray for forgiveness. Say for me, you were.
Tu étais.
Good. Now put the tu t'en in the bloody way, put été in the middle, and stick the aller on the end. You had. This gives us had, doesn't it? Was in the middle gives us had. Was in the middle gives us have. Tu t'en.
Tu t'en étais allé.
That's better. You're redeeming yourself. Present was. What comes next in my word order? Present was.
Will.
So what's the will for the verb to be? Normally, if it's you will be, it'll be tu
serait.
will. Not would. Will. Tu look at me. Everyone, don't smile. You're not going to get out of it. You're not a toddler putting her arms up wanting to be rescued. What is the future slogan? Re, ra, ron. Repeat.
Re, ra, ron.
Where do we get will from endings, people? The have verb. J'ai, je mangerai. Tu as, tu mangeras. Il a, il mangera. Nous avons, nous mangerons. Vous avez, vous mangerez. Ils ont, ils mangeront. The future matches the have. So what's you have, Carol? Tu
as.
So what's there for you will be? Tu
seras.
Not ser, that's squeeze. Tu seras, not ser. Yeah. Okay. Okay, off you go. I'll be doing some squeezing in a minute. So give me you will be. Tu and again.
Tu seras. Tu serais.
Will be. I've just said will. Good. Now go back to our friend. Put what we know on the left and put what we know on the right. You will have left. Tu t'en. Put what we need. Put what we need. That's it. Keep going. Finishing it off. Tu t'en seras. Finish it off.
LA.
Good. Now we go to present in the middle. We're done. Was in the middle. Done. Will in the middle. Done. Would in the middle. You would have left. Not you would leave. You would have left. Now do what you want to do. Stick what's on the left. Up you go. Tu t'en.
T'en serais allé.
Look at you. You've got a system. Systems work. Present, was, will, would, subjunctive. What's the subjunctive of the verb to be on its own, Carol, my darling? It is. The subjunctive of the verb to be is. Thank you.
Soit.
Give me what we need on the left and what we need on the right.
Tu t'en sois allé.
I'm happy you left. Je suis content que tu t'en sois allé. Yeah. Now we come to the one using après. There are again other things we could have done for the infinitive. I'm happy. You're happy to have left. For example, we could have done tu es content de. After, après plus this. So we're going to go with the after one. So for the moment, guys, when you use the practice, use avant de on the top line and après on the bottom line. If we're on the bottom line, Claire, do we have an auxiliary? Carol,
Yes.
do we have an auxiliary? Good.
Yes.
So what's the word for after?
Après.
We're now going straight into the infinitive. When we start any of these verbs, what are the words that we've needed today? Après, what's my first thing I need? Après.
De.
No, excuse me. I've just bloody said avant de and après. There's never a de
Sorry.
après. What have I used all the way along that I've gone in with first? What's the
Auxiliaries?
pronouns I've got? I've gone in with what? What pronouns have I gone in with?
Oh, quand. Is it?
What pronouns have I gone in with? To something. To something. It's
En.
been the. Let me hear them.
En.
All the pissing way along. All the way along, what pronouns have I gone in with this verb? To.
Temps.
Thank you. So say for me the word after.
Après.
Go in with my pronouns.
Après temps.
Now I need an auxiliary, don't I? And it needs to be the infinitive because we're in the infinitive number. We're on the infinitive one. What's the infinitive of the verb to be?
Aller. Oh, sorry, être.
Good. And now what goes on the end of it? The same past participle will be on the bottom of all six. What will it be?
Aller.
So put that together. So after leaving, assuming it was the same person, après ton.
Après ton être allé.
That's right. Let's just say we had, I've got to go, I've got Stephen Lovely Lagan. Let's say I said, for example, I dealt with it. No, he dealt with it. Il s'en occupe, present tense. Listen to il s'en, bitches. Il s'en occupe. Il s'en occupait. Il s'en occupera. Il s'en occuperait. Il est intéressant qu'il s'en occupe. Notice I don't have to use that for the subjunctive. It's the one I'm choosing to use. Notice I don't have to use avant de. There's no après de. Avant de and après. But I'm going to use avant de on the top line. Avant de son, in with the pronouns, occupé. Bottom line. Il s'en, in with the pronouns. Est occupé. He dealt with it. Il s'en était occupé. Il s'en sera occupé. Il s'en serait occupé. Il est intéressant qu'il s'en soit occupé. Après, straight the fuck in with it. Après son être occupé. All right? You guys, I want this down for next week. All right? This top 6, bottom 6. All right? So if I come at you with a phrasal verb, because you'll notice we're not doing this with manger and parler, you go, right, I'm not panicked. I just listen to the formula it's given me. Are there any pronouns? Je le lui donne. I give it to him. All right. Pronouns, le, lui. So I'd go all about my business. Je le lui donne, je le lui donne, je le lui donnerai, je le, avant de le lui donner, je le lui ai donné, je le lui avoir, je le après, le lui avoir. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's going to go avant de le lui or après le lui. Yeah? Je suis content de le lui donner. I'm happy to give it him. Hell yeah. Après le lui avoir donné. It's this idea that you realize whatever verb I throw at you, phrasal or otherwise, if there are any pronouns, they are going to go before the main verb, yeah, or before the auxiliary. Luke resents me. Luc m'en veut, Luc m'en voulait, Luc m'en voudra, Luc m'en voudrait. Il est intéressant que Luc m'en veuille avant de m'en vouloir. Luc m'en a voulu. Luc m'en avait voulu. Luc m'en aura voulu. Luc m'en aurait voulu. Il est intéressant que Luc m'en ait voulu, pardon. Après, mon, so remember it comes in straight after the mon. We need to be talking next week about how we use the infinitives in clever ways. All right. So, you know, he's sad that he resented himself, or something. Il est content de s'en être voulu, and all this kind of stuff. I need this top shit and this bottom shit down. Can I rely on that from everybody? Yes. Yes. Present, was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive. Pick verbs that need pronouns. Make sure you practice them with e, with on, reflexive with e and on as well. It won't always be reflexive with an e and on. Pick a verb, pick a phrasal verb. Go to my YouTube, type phrasal verbs, logic language learning space, phrasal verbs, or logic language learning mon, or ton, or reflexives and whatever. Find some verbs that use ABC, type ABC. I strongly recommend you type ABC into logic language learning. Always type logic language learning, then space, then ABC, and then fucking go and practice this with the top 6 and the bottom 6. If I hear après de from anybody next week, there will be an execution. You'll be dancing the Tyburn fucking jig. Okay? You will not be on a boat to the Antipodes. Are we clear? Fucking hell. I will not teach this shit again. We did avant and après last week. Avant de, après no de. You know the class price. Get it into Kofi. Okay? And then we're done with phrasal verbs. I can just throw you a boring verb. I can go, Claire, take this phrasal verb. And Claire goes, fine. She'll be there on a reefer. Claire's a massive weed smoker. She'll be like, oh, what's he given me? You know, je me casse. I'm breaking off, meaning I'm off. Fine. No pronouns, just a reflexive. But that's a pronoun. So, yeah, je me casse, je me, avant de me, après m'avoir, pardon, après m'être, because it's reflexive. Job done. Job done. It's that easy. It's that easy. Pronouns trump verbs. All right. Pronouns first. Avant de whatever the pronouns were, infinitive. Après whatever the pronouns were, auxiliary past participle. Good. I want this shit done next week. Make sure you've done it with mon and me and ton and t and all this crap as well. WhatsApp me if you need examples. All right. Speak to you soon.
Thanks. See you.